Being a trip to Lake Bodom near the town of Espoo, which is situated in Sweden, which is a very beautiful small kind of town and very green, very beautiful. How to say, everything in Europe like is kind of beautiful. However, they were too young, full of life, excited for the weekend by the waters. They rode their bicycles through forest trails, carrying single tent, some food, and small radio. It's a kind of a one-day trip, you can say. By the evening, they found the perfect spot, quiet clearing right beside the lake. Surrounded by pine trees, the surface of water reflected the orange glow of the midnight sun. It's kind of beautiful trip for them. However, they set up their tents, swam in the lake, play some music, and joked until the midnight like a teenager trip. It was supposed to be a memory of friendship and youth. Instead, it became one of the most terrifying and unsolved crimes in European histories. At around 6 a.m. on the June 5th, a man named Isco was walking along the shore. He was also came for little bit peace, enjoying the nature, but he noticed something strange in the distance, a collapsed tent. As he got closer, his stomach dropped. The tent was shattered, splashed open from the outside, and there was a blood everywhere. Inside and around the lay the bodies of Seppo, Anja, and Malia. They had been stabbed and beaten repeatedly even after the death. The tent was soaked in blood. The ground around trembled. Or suppose you are just walking beside the shore of some lake far from your house and you saw this kind of tragic scene. It was very shockful and very heartbreaking. The police were called immediately. What they found was a scene out of nightmare. They were also not able to comprehend this because in Sweden this kind of thing is like once in a blue moon. The scene that made no sense from the very beginning. The crime scene baffled investigators. The tent was cut open from the outside, meaning the killer or killers had attacked them while they were slept. The victim had clearly tried to escape, but in the confusion, they were either dragged out, attacked through the canvas. The two boys appeared to have fought back the criminals, while the girls were stabbed inside the tent. The killer used both a knife and a blunt weapon, but neither was ever found. There was no trace of the knife or any weapon which were used in this crime. Even stranger, nothing valuable was taken, like if someone trying to rob them, but there was nothing taken. The group's wallet, watches, even their motorcycle was parked nearby. The only missing item were a few personal things, shoes, keys, and some pieces of clothes. It wasn't robbery, it wasn't random. It was something far more personal or far more senior. When Niels finally woke up in the hospital, he was confused and terrified. He had no memory of the attack, only that they had gone to sleep after midnight and then everything went black. But investigators weren't sure they believe him. How could he survive such a brutal attack while his friend dead around him? And why were his injuries through serious, not as fatal as the rest of the group? Because if a person came and killed three of your friends brutally, like stabbed multiple times and beaten to death, why he's or she's supposed to leave you? Theories begin as word spreads, so did the theories. Some believed it was a lunatic living nearby the forest, like every time you see some crackhead or psycho or serial killer killed the hitchhikers or travelers. A few more local reported seeing a man dressed in black standing on the opposite shore that morning, watching the camp. Others suspected jealous lover because Niels and Seppo were both close to this girl, and Malia, one of the victims, had found partly undressed, but there was no sight of sexual assault. Then came the darker rumors. People whispered that Lake Bottom was cursed, an ancient site of pagan rituals. When spirits roamed the forest, the brutality of murders, the overkill, the rage didn't seem human. But the police stayed focused on the reality, and reality soon pointed in a shocking direction. 45 years later, the shocking twist. For decades, the lake bottom case went cold. The killer was never found. Then in 2004, new DNA testing became available and police reported the case. They re examined evidence, the bloody clothes, the shoes, the tent, and made a stunning announcement. DNA from the victim's clothing matches Dean Gustafsson, the solo survivor. 44 years after the crime, Neil was charged with the murder of three friends. The police believed he had gotten drunk, gotten into fight with Seppo, in jealous rage, killed them all for like nothing. Then staggered to the scene to look like an attacker. The public was stunned. Could the boy who barely survived has been killed all along? Because he also got injured, he also have cut marks, he also got beaten. How someone like try to beat themselves? In 2005, the trial began. The prosecution painted Niels as a violent and jealous, pointing out that his girlfriend Malia was found closest to him and most brutally attacked. But the defense fought back. They argued that Neil's injuries were too severe to have been self inflicted. A broken jaw, shattered facial bones, had trauma. Experts also testified that the blood evidence didn't prove guilty. It could easily have transferred during the struggle. After the months of testimony, the court declared Niels innocent. He walked free, a man who had been both victim and suspect in one of the Finland's most infamous cases. To this day, the Lake Bottom murders remains unsolved. No one know who killed the teenagers that night or why. Some believes that a drifter who fled into the forest Others are convinced it was Neil's despite that verdict. And some, especially locals, it whispered that there was something wrong with the lake, something that watches. In the decades since, many campers have reported strange sounds at night, the rip of fabric, the crunch of footsteps, and quiet breathing just outside their tents. No one comes too close to the shore anymore. They saw if you do, the lake goes silent, and then you hear it, the soft tearing of tent and voices whispering in the dark. If you see, like, if you go camping in the woods or some unknown areas, this kind of things are pretty common. If you have some friends or some relatives who regularly go on this kind of camping journeys, uh, you can ask them every time, not every time, but many times they hear some crunchy sounding of outside their tents, someone talking from far. This kind of things in the jungle, in the woods, are pretty common, because this kind of things are like, how to say, unsolved by humans. These kind of things are unsolved, and no one knows what really pretty going on, because no one ever explored this kind of jungles and this kind of lakes. When we are talking about this lake bottom, no one goes there. Like a few people tried to camp there. Few people like, let's go to this lake bottom kind of thing. Like, we hear story of Alpacia Mountains every time, the Smoky Mountains every time, because these kind of places are unexplored by human races. No one goes there. Someone says, recently I was watching a video about this strange animal, dragon kind of animal, who had like a horse head and had wings. But the bottom line of that is, no one really knows what is going on to this place. So this was today's story. I hope you like it. I don't know you like it or not. This is my second video. On my last video I got first view. I know this is like not very good.